Hello, welcome to my talk. My name is Joseph Mbele. I'm a Tanzanian. I teach here at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota. I'm in the English department. I teach literature from around the world as well as folklore. I've been here since 1991, and before then, since 1976, I was teaching at the University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. That's my country. I was in the literature department there. Outside of teaching, I'm a cultural consultant. I enjoy being a cultural consultant, helping especially Africans and Americans to navigate cultural differences. It's a great, great joy to be able to do that. I make presentations, I run workshops, I have published some books. I'm on social media. I have a YouTube channel, and I try to orient all these activities in the direction of talking about cultural differences, offering consultations to enable people to navigate or leverage cultural differences. I think it's a very big issue, especially now with globalization, people moving from one part of the world to another, people having to mix with people of a different culture. So many problems, so many issues crop up, and we need to know how to deal with them. So today I would like to say a few words about Americans doing business with Africans, and I focus on the cultural implications or the cultural side of that. Americans doing business with Africans, Americans trying to do business with Africans, or Africans trying to do business with Americans. Traders, investors, you name them, in both ways. The reason I decided to talk a little bit about this today is that I just finished an interview with, or rather a conversation with an officer of one organization that promotes businesses. Yes, and their work is to help businesses get to the next level. I had signed up for a Zoom interview, and so we had it today for almost an hour. I talked with this guy, I explained myself. He wanted to know what kind of work I do, what business, what I'm planning to accomplish, those types of things. I told him I'm a professor, I'm teaching, that's my primary activity. I do research, I'm in the educational field. I also told him I'm planning eventually to become a full-time consultant. I'm doing the work of a consultant on the side, but my aim eventually, when I retire from teaching, is to be a full-time consultant. So I sought him out to learn a little more about what kind of services they offer to people trying to expand their businesses. We had a good conversation. He taught me some very valuable lessons. Yeah, one of the things he emphasized was, the need for me to really focus. Yes, identify an area and then, spend my energy working in that area, connecting with the clients in a kind of focused way. Very great advice. So that's what made me come out to give this talk. Another thing actually is a few days ago, I had a conversation with the representative, the officer, that deals with the United States Department of Commerce here in the state of Minnesota. We had a great conversation. We focused on business, between Africans and Americans, and his office is involved in promoting such relationships. And so we had a conversation, and I quickly told him I am very fascinated by these activities as a cultural consultant. And I explained to him Americans trying to do business with Africans should really not assume that, things work the same way in Africa, the way they work in the USA. And that covers little things and big things. We didn't have much time to talk, but I was able to convey my message. And he's interested, really, in us having a conversation, an ongoing conversation about this. And I look forward to reaching out to Americans, from this region in the Midwest especially, but who knows, maybe other Americans later, to try and open the door for them, open the window for them to see there is a lot of homework needing to be done before trade can actually work between Africans and Americans, before business can work between Africans and Americans. Another reason I decided to come out is that over the last few years, actually, I have focused my attention on this very area of culture and business, not only between Africans and Americans, but also between, Africans and people of other parts of the world. For example, there's a Russian company, big Russian company, that has established its business now in some African country or countries, and Tanzania is one of those. And this company invited me a few months ago to give them some insight into the culture of doing business in Tanzania, the cultural implications or the cultural challenges. I conducted a 2-hour workshop with them, and it was just, for me, a great experience to organize my thoughts about cultural differences and create something that was valuable to people trying to do business or already in business with Africans. And these were Russians. And it was a Zoom conversation. We had people sitting out in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Dubai, and Russia. It was truly fascinating. So those are the reasons I wanted to just come out and say a few words about business between Americans and Africans. This last summer, 2024, I was in Tanzania, my country. I had a chance to talk to an African-American couple. They are running a restaurant in Dar es Salaam. We had a great conversation. I visited them twice, actually. And somehow we did talk about the cultural challenges or realities of doing business. And they are American and they are dealing with Africans. I talked a little bit about how Africans see, the employer, the owner, what their expectations are, and they are not the same as you see in the USA. The African-American couple were very interested in what I was saying, and they embraced it. And these are the kinds of things I talk about when I give, presentations. There are many dimensions of this thing that I call cultural. It has to do with just a lot of things. Relations between employer and employee, for example. Work habits. Absolutely. Yeah. And this leads me to mention something else. There are many African Americans who are going to Africa to settle there. They are moving out of the USA, and I look at what they post on social media. Quite a number of them plan on starting a business, or they're already trying to run a business. At the back of my mind, I know they probably think running a business in Africa is just like doing so in America. And it's very unfortunate that if they think that way, they're going to face serious obstacles. And it could be costly. It could be very costly. Business in Africa is part of the African culture. Business in America is part of the American culture. That's a fundamental premise of my presentations. And anybody who listens to me talking about the cultural differences can pull out things I say, and make a whole system of ideas, that relate to business. It has to do with things like communication, attitudes towards punctuality, deadlines. Again, like I said, work habits, expectations of employees, relations between employees and employers. There are all these things which actually relate to the topic of business. I follow what Americans say, what they do, what they expect, when they go to Africa. And a typical example is the interaction between the American Chamber of Commerce in Tanzania, for example. The American Chamber of Commerce, they bring Americans, investors, and business people to interact with the Tanzanians, and the Americans come with their notions of what they would like to happen, and it's natural. Africans have the same. They have their notions of what should happen for business to flourish. And so I've written about this in my little book here, Chickens in the Bus, on page 37, starting on page 37. Let me read what I see here, or what I have here. So the Americans, when they talk to the Tanzanians, they lay out the things they would like to see happen, reforms or changes in the Tanzanian sphere, that Americans would like. Steps Tanzanians should take to improve the business environment or whatever. So I wrote, the Americans would like business to be conducted according to rules which are transparent, consistent, and predictable. Deadlines should be kept, and so on and so on and so on. These are American expectations. Yes, that business should be conducted according to rules which are transparent, consistent, and predictable. These are American values. The problem is, these are not universal. They look so normal, they look so natural to the Americans, but they are not the norm. and this is a message I convey in my presentations on culture, that we all grow up in our culture, picking up and assimilating the values, the ways of our culture, and we develop this mindset that those ways are not just normal, but they are the norm. And so you have Americans going out, and stating these types of things. Again, it's the same with the Africans. They have their own expectations, and things don't work the way we see them working in our countries. So I work with people like that, and I intend in the coming days to be, more intentional about getting together these people who want to do business in Africa, and really helping them figure out how to do these things. It can save money, it can save time, it saves frustrations, and it makes things, easy. There are costly mistakes people make because they go without, this kind of education. And that's what I want to focus on in the coming days. I think I will be sending out announcements, when I've decided on times to do maybe workshops, or especially for the Americans here. I think I should just stop here and keep following my channel. If you want to get a little sense of what I mean, do get a hold of my books. I have 2 of them, and there's a link at the bottom of this video, or rather below this video. There's a link to the books. I encourage you to read them to get a sense of what I have in mind. So that's it, and I wish you all the best. Bye.